Every day is an adventure on the road for a truck driver. You never know what's just over that next hill. My adventure began in February 2002. I am Richard Goon, better known as the Truckin' Rooster, and this is my story. Welcome to the Tales from the Road.
Hello everybody. This goes back to, I'm going to say 2004. You know, I done been gone for Covenant for a year. And I was with Navajo at that time, so I had my ex-wife Amanda with me on the road and everything, and you know, I used to tell her all these trucking stories, if you can believe that. You know, I do like to tell the stories, I guess, and that's what she always said. She'd be like, "You already told me that one 100 times already." Anyway, so anyway, you know, of course, when I was telling her all the stories from the Covenant days, you know, because that's all I had at the time, really. You know, I was telling her all these stories about this guy named Nick, and you know, that's how it started. I got to wondering, you know. I said, well, I wonder whatever happened to that guy, you know, because somewhere along the line after we split up, and you know, he just they kind of lost contact with him. I lost his number at some point or something, and so we just kind of lost contact. So I said, well, one day we was headed out to Utah, and I said, well, I'm gonna give old Mike a call. You know, maybe it's a possibility. Maybe he's still with Covenant. So I'm gonna give old Mike Smith a call and see if he's still there. You know, because last I knew he was still on Mike's board. So I called him up and I said, "Hey Mike, you know, this is Richard Goon. I was, you know, driving for you a couple years ago." Yeah, I remember you, Richard. Yeah. Hey, you remember that guy I was running with, man, when I first started, that guy, Nick? And, you know, and then he's like, yeah, I remember Nick. And, I said, is he still on your board by any chance? He said, no, he ain't on my board anymore. I said, well, can you look it up and see if he's still there? And he said, well, you got his last name? I said, oh, man, I can't remember. I know his name was Nick. I can't remember what his name was. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. He's like, unless you got a name or, you know, a truck number, which you obviously, you know, probably don't know the truck number, but he's without the last name, I really can't. He's like, I know who you're talking about. I remember him, but he's like, I can't really remember his last name either. And he's like, I'm like, ah, shoot. So I'm like, alright, well, thanks, man. You know, so I'm like, he can't. That's like, unless I can rack my brain and find his last name, I just can't for the life of me remember what his last name was. All I knew is, you know, Nick or call him Jake Break. You know, most times just call him Jake Break. He called me Sleepy. You know, that was my name, Sleepy. And so we go on the next day. We get this out by Salt Lake City. We deliver our load, and I'm tired as crap. When I pull across after we deliver our load, there's big empty empty lot across the street over there, and I pull over that lot and I say, screw it, I'm going to bed, you know. And Amanda, she's like, you know, I'm really hungry. I'd like to get something to eat, you know, and somewhere where I can, you know, get something to eat, use the restroom and stuff, you know. And you have ladies traveling with you, you gotta think of that kind of stuff. So I said, alright, well, we ain't too far from the TA, so we'll go over to the TA over there in Tueli and, you know, get some lunch and everything, and then, yeah, I'm gonna go to bed. So, okay. So, we go over to the TA, go inside, and we walk inside and we go over to Taco Bell. You know, grab a lunch over at Taco Bell. So we eat our lunch, and we get back out and we're walking out, and as we're walking out, you know, from the fast food area, you gotta walk back through the hall and past the restaurant. So I walk down, and all of a sudden I get to the restaurant, and I just stop, and I'm like staring, you know, and Amanda's like, what the heck are you doing? I'm just like staring for a moment. I'm like, Nick? And like, sure enough, there he was. He was just sitting there, and he had a older lady and a man and a woman with him. And you know, he didn't notice me at first until when I was just standing there looking. And I said, you know, that, and then he looks up and he's like, Rich? So I was like, whoa. I was like, that is weird, dude. I was like, I swear, I was just trying to find you like yesterday. I was calling Mike, trying to find you, and but I could not remember your last name, you know. So find you. So anyway, so we talked. He was still with Covenant, and he was actually working as a trainer. So he was training a husband and wife team. That's why he had those, you know, the man and the woman with him at the time. And so yeah, we hung out for the rest of the day there, and I still didn't get any sleep for a while now because, you know, we was all chatting and hanging out and everything, but it was cool, you know. So we got back in contact there, and we been ever since. So I always said, you know, that I was thankful that Amanda wanted to go get some lunch that day, because if she hadn't went and got lunch that day, I may have never found him again. So our whole friendship, you know, was based on, that we've had since then, was, you know, based on Amanda wanting to get lunch that day, because I was just gonna go to sleep. I was tired. But anyway, so I was back in, like I said, I was back in 04, and then 05 I left Navajo. So when I moved back to my left Colorado, moved back to my hometown Ohio here. I went to work for, that's when I worked for NS Carriers in Ohio there, and then ended up bringing, Nick went from Covenant to SRT, which pretty much SRT is Covenant, because Covenant, and they're connected with SRT somehow. So anyway, he left SRT, came to NS with me, and we stayed there, you know, for the next year or so. And that's when we started running West Coast together and all that stuff. So anyway, well, I got the green light here, so I got to get trucking. But that is basically the story of how I got reunited with the Jake break. Alright, we'll catch y'all later.